welcome everyone today, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join our webinar. Today, we're going to be discussing equipping students for innovation. My name, I'm sure I've met many of you or you've joined one of our sessions previously. My name as the host is James Vigus. I'm the Senior Director of International Student Recruitment for InUni USA. I've been working with Gus for over a decade now. I've been primarily focused on US recruitment, supporting our US partners build a global agent network. It's a pleasure to have met so many of you either in person or virtually over the years. So thank you again for joining this session. I would like to start off with our introductions to our fantastic panel. Perhaps we can go to the first slide. Excellent, there we go. So I would like to firstly welcome Jaron Decker. Jaron Decker is the Director of Graduate Admissions at Rensselaer Polytechnic. Jaron has been with RPI for over 17 years and started as a graduate admissions counselor in 2008. He progressively moved through roles as an assistant director, associate director, before becoming the director of graduate admissions. In 2016, his extensive experience at RPI provides obviously valuable insights into graduate admissions process, and also the time he spent, obviously a great understanding of the university. Jaron, thank you so much for joining us there. I don't know if you want to say a quick hello.
Yes, thank you, and hello everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Excellent, thank you very much, Jaron, for joining us on this session today. Our next guest that I would like to welcome is Agon Julius. He's a professor and associate dean for research and graduate studies at RPI. He's also a faculty member of RPI Automotive Technologies and Systems. His research focuses on intersecular systems and control theory, systems biology, and theoretical computer sciences. It's a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining us. Please feel free to say hi to our group today. It's great to have you here with us.
Thank you, James. Hello, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here, and thank you for joining us from all over the world. I'm so excited to share information about our programs with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And lastly, I would like to welcome Aidan McRoberts, Associate Director of Graduate Admissions at RPI. He's very passionate about connecting with purpose-driven individuals. Aidan specializes in recruiting top talent for dynamic, transformative world of higher education, with a deep appreciation for the role of higher education plays in shaping lives, strengthening communities. He's driven by opportunity to connect with mission-led students, with institutions that foster growth, spark innovation, and inspire lasting impact. Aidan, great to have you with us today. I don't know if you want to just say a quick hi to our group, our attendees.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here, and hopefully everybody learns a lot about RPI today. I'm excited.
Excellent. Thank you all for being here today. We will start this session shortly. I just want to do a bit of housekeeping before we do. So obviously, all thank you so much for joining us today. We really want you to engage with our team at RPI. You have a fantastic panel here that's really going to go through some valuable information about the institution, very specific programs. So we want to hear your questions. We want to help answer any doubts that you may have. We do have a Q&A function at the bottom of the webinar interface. So feel free to ping any questions you have there. At the very end of this session, we will go through as many of them as we can. So feel free to write down any questions that you would like. As a quick introduction to the institution, please, can we go to the next slide? Excellent. So RPI was established in 1824. It's one of the oldest technology research universities in the United States. It is recognized globally, for pioneering innovation and academic excellence in sciences and engineering. This institution is dedicated to shaping leaders who solve global challenges through technology and innovation. Next slide, please. Fantastic. And with that, I will pass on to our first speaker, Jaron. I would like to pass over to you so you can give us a really great overview of RPI as an institution.
Yes, thanks again, everyone. And as James mentioned, we are the oldest technological research university in the United States. And one of the things that I can say about RPI, there are obviously many different universities here in the United States, and I think what makes RPI really special is a couple of things. One of the things is we're a relatively small university when compared to a lot of the big powerhouses here in the US. We only have about 6,000 undergraduate students and about 1,200 graduate students. And what that enables us to do is really have a close-knit community between students and faculty. And you'll be hearing from Dr. Julius in a few minutes, and he's an excellent example of how great our faculty are, and you'll see that when he does his presentation. But it's a really exciting place to be. I've been here for 18 years, and I've really enjoyed my time here, because students, when a student comes here, whether you're an undergraduate student or a graduate student, you really get to know the faculty very well. You're not just a face in a classroom, but you're a well-known entity on campus. And we can go to the next slide, I think. Yes, so all of our programs are very highly ranked, particularly in the School of Engineering, and Dr. Julius can talk a little bit more about that. When students come to RPI, whether they're an undergraduate student or a graduate student, the outcomes when it comes to graduation and employment are very good. Our students get excellent jobs after graduation, and they really become leaders in their industries. And that's really evident even on our board of trustees. We have two members of our board of trustees that come to mind very quickly. One is Curtis Priam, who graduated here from RPI, and he is a co-founder of the company called NVIDIA. The other that comes to mind is James Kelly, who was formerly the executive vice president for research and development at IBM. He's another RPI alum who has done some great things in the field. And we also have a very vibrant campus. We're not a large school, like I said, so you can walk from one end of campus to the other without getting too tired, and you don't have to take a bus from one end of the campus to the other like you have to do at many really large universities. We're a safe campus. We're located in a small city called Troy, New York. The population of Troy is approximately 50,000. We're about 9 miles away from the New York State Capitol, which is Albany, New York. The population of Albany is about double that. It's about 100,000. And there's a lot that you can do on and around campus. And Aidan will be talking about that a little bit more in the presentation. Next slide, please. Yes, so like I said, Troy is a small city of about 50,000. We're very close to some metropolitan areas. So we're about 2.5 hours north of New York City. Many of our students take bus trips to New York City. There's not only buses, but there's also Amtrak, which is the train system here in the United States that provides easy access to New York City. We're approximately a 3-hour drive from Boston, and I think a little bit less than 4 hours to Montreal. We do have an airport. It's the Albany International Airport, which is approximately maybe 10 to 15 minutes away from campus.
Thank you so much, Jaron, for giving us a really thoughtful insight into the institution and obviously what is on offer in the local area. I'm pleased to welcome our next speaker, Dr. Julius, who's really going to run through with us about RPI's School of Engineering. Dr. Julius, thank you again for joining us, and we're looking forward to hearing more about the programs that you offer at your fine institution.
Thank you, James. And again, my heartiest welcome to everybody who's joining us today from all around the world. I know that some of you are joining us at some weird times of the day, so I really appreciate your time spent with us. Next slide, please. So just to give you a quick overview of what the School of Engineering is about and our master's program. We have seven different departments within the School of Engineering, so you could see the list of the departments right there on the screen. And then all of our master's programs are 30 credits in total. Okay, so that's universally true for all of our master's program. In fact, that's also true for all master's program, at least within the New York State. Now, in the next few slides, I will go through each of the departments that you see on the screen here and tell you a little bit about specifics about their master's program. So next slide, please. Um, this is a list of all the different master's program within the School of Engineering. You have a table on the left. On the right, you have two new programs that we just launched within the last year or so. We are really excited about them. I'll talk about them specifically in the next few slides, but as you can see, they target really timely topics where engineering expertise in those fields are in high demand. Next slide, please. So the first department, BME stands for Biomedical Engineering. Students can engage with faculty members and research in various areas. So the areas are shown on the right of the slide. So you have biofabrication, biomanufacturing, all sort of different exciting research area in the biomedical engineering field. As I mentioned earlier, generally the master's program, it's 30 credits for the entire master's. What you see on the left there are some specifics about this master's program that this BME department are offering. So students will have to take specific courses, so advanced math and statistics, advanced life science, some core courses, and then for the rest of their study plan, up to 30 credits, they can fill with some technical electives or research project in the areas that you can see on the right. Next slide, please. Now, this is one of the new programs that I mentioned earlier, Masters of Engineering in Biomedical Data Science. Now, you can imagine how important it is to have the skill of knowing how to process and deal with data in the biomedical field, right? As technologies is getting more and more advanced, we are generating and using more and more data in informing us in healthcare. So this is a major that is targeted to that. So you could see the specifics of this master's program on the left. So it's not just about data science. Students will have to take a course in human physiology, right? So you're not only learning about how to use and process data, you have to know human physiology. You have to be well-versed in mathematics. And then, there's a number of electives, and there's a master's project where students will apply what they learn during the program on projects that are relevant to this exciting field. Next slide, please. The next department is CBE, which stands for Chemical and Biological Engineering. And again, in the center of the slide, you could see various areas where students can advance their knowledge. You have biotechnology, sustainability, materials. All are subfields that are addressing important challenges to our societies today. There is tremendous development and advancement in those fields, and I think students specializing in these fields will have advantage in pursuing career in all of those exciting directions. On the right side, you see a wall of pictures of faculty members in that department who are doing various topics of research as seen in the center of the slide. Next slide, please. So again, I mentioned 30 credits for all master's program. Each department has its own style and blend of core courses and elective courses. This is a sample of how the master's program in the chemical and biological engineering can be done. It could be done in principle in 2 semesters or 3 semesters if the student choose to do so. You see 3 courses that are the core courses: thermodynamics, mathematics, and transport. And then there are opportunities to take elective courses. I have some samples of elective courses on the right side of the slide. And there are some, of course, there are some other elective courses that the students can take as well. So this really gives you some ideas about what the core skills the student will be trained in, and the opportunities to really take advanced, interesting elective courses. And as Jaron mentioned earlier, our school is relatively small, I'm sorry, excuse me. Our school is relatively small, so students will not be, learning in an ocean of students, right? So you'll have in a small classroom, good faculty-student interaction, deepening their skills and understanding in all of these topics. Next slide, please. Okay, so the next department, CEE, stands for Civil and Environmental Engineering. So this department has 4 focus areas in research and education, as you can see on the screen. You have geotechnical engineering, which deals with soil structure, earthquake, and so on. We actually are one of the few universities in the US or even in the world that has a huge centrifuge machine that can be used to simulate earthquake. Okay, so right here in the basement of the building where I'm talking now, we have this huge machine that can simulate earthquake. It's really a unique facility. It's only one of the few in the world. Environmental engineering is another focus area in the department. Of course, I think I don't need to tell you that this is a very important area, addressing many of the challenges in our society today. Structural engineering is another sub-area dealing with, the construction and design of civil engineering structures. And then lastly, we have this transportation engineering subfield that deals with all aspects of modern transportation. We have also a research center on this area funded by Volvo, where our faculty members are looking at various engineering aspects of car and freight transports in big cities. Next slide, please. I think the text is missing. Can you maybe advance? Okay, yeah. So again, this is some bits about how the master's program in this department are structured. So you have a Master of Science program with again 30 credits, 24 credits of coursework. It can be combined with thesis or projects. Master of Engineering is the same thing, also 30 credits. It can be filled with coursework in the areas that I mentioned earlier. Next slide, please. Okay, now the next department is my own department. ECSE stands for Electrical, Computer, and System Engineering department. Electrical, Computer, and System Engineering is a somewhat difficult, in my experience, a somewhat difficult field or department to explain because this is so broad. Okay, so the department covers the topics that you could see there on the right side of your slide. So anything from power systems, robotics, communications, microelectronics, and so on. So when I, excuse me, when I talk with students, I usually tell them that this department deals with anything that involves electronics or electricity, anything as big as power plants and huge transmission line to anything small as microchip, and we really do all of those. Now, the department, needless to say, we have research and courses covering all of these areas. But I want to highlight one new program, one of the ones that I mentioned earlier. Next slide, please. So this is the program or master's program in semiconductor technology, right? So you could sort of see the structure of the program on the left side, maybe forward, and so we could see a bit more text. Yeah, so can we, okay, yeah, maybe just show all of the text. So the structure of the program is, as you can see on the screen. What is special about this program is that, as many of you probably know, there is a strong interest and investment in the United States for semiconductor and chips. And so what it means is that there's a lot of job opportunities, there is a lot of research funding, and there is a lot of government funding for improving research and educational facilities in this area. And in fact, RPI recently upgraded our clean room facilities that students can use. We have strong ties with big companies in the area, in this region, in the area of semiconductor technology and chips. So students go on internships and they get jobs in these companies. So that's what's happening. Something that is special also is that we have top researchers and leaders from these companies coming to RPI to teach courses because they really want students who are well trained and familiar with the field of semiconductor manufacturing. So this is really an exciting area. Next slide, please. Okay, the next department is ISE, stands for Industrial and Systems Engineering. They have a couple of master's programs, so Industrial and Management Engineering, as you can see on the slide. And another one is called System Engineering and Technology Management. That's also on the left side of the slides. You can see, the way the program is structured. So you have some required courses as listed there, and some elective courses. Again, the same rules that students will take 30 credits, and these are the courses that they are required to take. You have a picture there of graduate students and the faculty members joining an international conference in the field. So ISE is a relatively small department. They have really, tight, closely knit relationship between the students and the faculty, as you can see. Next slide, please. So the SETM, so System Engineering Technology Management Program, is somewhat unique because system engineering really aims to glue engineering fields with management, and so they have this unique view of taking students from various disciplines, as you can see in this table, with various career goals, and crafting their program and study plan in a way that supports the students' career goals, right? As you can see there, I'm not going to read them one by one, but for example, if you look at electrical engineering, you have a student with career goals in microelectronics, like I mentioned earlier. Then students can pursue their microelectronics expertise with complementary elective courses and, for example, statistical quality control. And this is a really important aspect in semiconductor manufacturing because they make chips by the millions or the billions, and having a tight grip on the quality of the product is really key, right? That's really how they make money, and this is really how they, make sure that they can deliver the chips that everybody in the world need, quickly and at the right level of quality. And you could also see a bunch of other examples on the table. Again, I'm not going to read them one by one, and I believe you'll have a copy of the slides so you could peruse them later at your own convenience. Next slide, please. The next department is MANE, M-A-N-E. It stands for Mechanical, Aerospace, and Nuclear Engineering Department. This is the largest department in our school. It has faculty members doing research and teaching in the three areas that you can see on the screen. So aeronautical engineering, mechanical engineering, and nuclear engineering. And they do all sort of interesting research topic, and they teach all sort of interesting courses. Anything ranging from advanced manufacturing, combustion, how to design aircraft, how to design rocket, how to design nuclear reactor, and so on, all the way to the modern topics, how to use AI and machine learning to advance mechanical engineering design and so on. So truly a department with really broad spectrum of research activities. Next slide, please. So this is a highlight of the master's program within this department. So again, 30 credits, the same as everybody else. Students would typically run or participate in a research project with a faculty member. They can pick their faculty advisor. The department has a lot of faculty members from all the areas that I mentioned earlier. They do exciting research. I was always impressed when I go to their poster presentations. The students really do amazing projects, as you could sort of see in the on the screen there. So some students are working on nuclear engineering. I've seen some students doing some work on advanced manufacturing. How do you do 3D printing of metals for advanced products and so on. So yeah, a lot of really exciting research topics in this department. And also, again, because of their size, this is really a department that can accommodate a lot of students and their interests. Now, next slide is my last department. It's Department of MSc, Material Science and Engineering. So this department structure their master's program according to what you can see on the screen. Again, the same thing, 30 credits for everyone. 30 credits for everyone. And then the student need to choose 3 out of those 5 courses, and then they fill the rest with elective courses. This is also a relatively small department. Students will have excellent connection with faculty members. Thank you. That is all from me for now.
Thank you, Dr. Julius. I'm really impressed and excited to be working with your department. Some of the programs look absolutely fascinating. I'm sure I speak for our partners where we're really excited to see such fantastic programs that are really going to be meaningful and impactful to students, then have really good career prospects for our students. So thank you so much for sharing such insightful information and giving the overview about your school. Now
Thank you, James.
Thank you so much. Now we will shift our focus slightly to admissions processing, and one of our fantastic speakers, Jaron, will be covering a bit more about how to identify the ideal candidate and the correct type of profiles we're looking for, and also just a bit more of an overview on admissions requirements and tuition fees. So I'm pleased to hand over to Jaron. Jaron, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, James. And yes, I always get excited too when I hear these engineering presentations, because I'm not an engineer myself, but I do have engineering envy. So I always get excited when I hear about all the things that we're doing here. We can go to the next slide. So these are the ideal candidates for our master's programs. Generally speaking, and this isn't always the case, but generally speaking, the ideal candidate should have a degree in a bachelor's degree in some sort of a STEM field that is relevant to the engineering program that they're going to be applying to. So, for example, Agung mentioned that he's part of the electrical computer and systems engineering department. So obviously, someone who graduates with a degree in electrical engineering would be ideal for that program, or even a program in physics, which is a relevant field to electrical engineering. We do require the TOEFL for students who are from countries that English is not the official language. We obviously do require some transcripts and recommendations as well. The statement of purpose is a key part of our application process. We recommend that students really write their personal statements or their statements of purpose as many times as they can to get it as close to perfect as possible. And if they have faculty members who can review those statements for them, that would be ideal. And I know maybe many of you will be working with those students to really get those statements as close to perfect as they can. We also require the CV and the relevant resume. Work experience is not required. Many of our students come to us directly from their undergraduate careers, so we don't require work experience. And all of our admissions processes are holistic in nature. So the admission decisions are made by a committee of faculty members who go through each and every application, and they decide as a committee whether or not someone is admissible to our programs. And there's a note here on this slide that talks a little bit about financial aid being more limited to master's students, and that's true, but we do have generous merit-based scholarships available for master's students. So there is some support that is available. And the next slide, please. Okay, these are our admissions requirements. As I alluded to some of these earlier, but we have the application, we have the application fee, which is currently $75. The personal statement, some will call it a statement of purpose, the resume or CV. We require 2 letters of recommendation. Students can submit more than 2 letters if they would like, but the minimum number that we require is only 2. We require all transcripts and degrees from previous undergraduate universities. Those transcripts do not have to be official at the time of application. So we have students that can simply upload their unofficial transcripts into the application, and we will review those without them being the official transcripts. The GPA, we recommend that students have at least a 3.0 GPA. Can we admit students below a 3.0? Yes, we can. But generally speaking, the ideal candidate would have above a 3.0 GPA on a 4-point scale. And as I mentioned, the English proficiency tests are required for many international students. And on the right side of this slide are our minimum English proficiency scores for each of the tests that we accept. Next slide, please. Okay, so we are an expensive school. So our tuition is currently at $64,400. And you can see all of the estimated fees that go along with that for a total estimated cost of attendance at $90,106. Again, though, for our master's students, we do have generous scholarships available that are merit-based. So students will generally not be paying the entire amount of that tuition.
Thank you so much, Jaron, for sharing that information. Similar to you, I think I have engineering envy. Some of the projects the team are working on look absolutely fascinating. I will now pass over to our next guest, who's going to discuss a little bit more about student life, about the institution, the surrounding area, and just a little bit beyond the classroom experience. Aidan, thank you very much for joining us. I'm pleased to pass over to you to run through a little bit more about these areas.
Absolutely. Thanks, James. So when it's time for the students to take a little break, feel free to go to the next slide, take a little break. They can check out downtown Troy, starting with the farmers market. The farmers market in Troy is held every Saturday, and it's one of the biggest in the Northeast region. And it attracts around 10,000 people on Saturday afternoons when the weather's nice. So that's a big, big draw. There's shopping all around downtown, from clothing and jewelry to food and drinks, which I'll get into a little bit later. And on top of that, being as old as the Troy community is, there is a lot of 19th century architecture. If that's the student's thing, there is a lot of architecture to discover. Next slide. Outdoor activities in Troy. So Prospect Park and Post Falls, they are two of our waterfalls within Troy. I do believe there's 4 waterfalls total, and there's about 10 more within a 10-minute driving time from Troy. So if nature's your thing, there's plenty of waterfalls and trails to check out. Freer Park is about a mile from campus. They offer an 18-hole golf course. People, non-members, can play there as well for about $35 for the 18 holes, I believe. And then finally, the Uncle Sam Bike Trail. It's a 7-mile bike trail through Troy, New York. But the biggest attraction to it is that it also attaches to the Empire State Bike Trail, which is a 750-mile long stretch of trail through New York State. Next slide. Arts and culture, starting with the Troy Savings Bank Music Hall. Again, it's in walking distance of campus. They hold all types of concerts, from indie music to orchestra and comedy shows. In the summers, they hold what's called a Summer Square Series, and it's held every Friday and Saturday evenings. It's an outdoor free concert in August, July and August. And then the Art Center of the Capital Region, they offer a ton of classes, from sketching lessons to photography to painting. They offer exhibits as well as public art through the alleyways of downtown Troy. A ton of art on our buildings, especially in the alleyways, provided by the Art Center of the Capital Region. And then finally, with the Impact is on campus. It's a 12,000 seat concert hall. They hold art shows there, concerts, really anything that require a massive seating capacity. It'll be held in Impact. Next slide. Day trips to the Adirondacks. So the Adirondacks are about 30 minutes from here, so it will be a drive, but they are absolutely beautiful. The high peaks hiking is something that the locals call 46er. There's 46 high peaks over 4,000 feet in elevation. If the student is into active outdoors activity, the 46er is a great challenge to try to complete. Whitewater rafting is offered in the Adirondack Mountains, as well as tubing. So whitewater rafting goes down the Hudson for about 17 miles, while the tubing is done in about a 5-mile stretch in the Adirondacks. Winter sports, not a big skier myself, but the Adirondack offers all types of winter sports, from skiing and cross-country skiing to snowshoeing, which I highly recommend that any student try out snowshoeing if they haven't. It's a great exercise and out in the still, quiet, peaceful nature. All right, next slide. Explore the capital region. So downtown Albany, like Jaron said earlier, is about 10, 15 minutes, not too far at all. And there's a lot to do down there. There's a lot of art museums. As the slide mentions, you can view or tour the New York State building. There's concert halls. There's more walking and biking trails around there. And there's a lot of water activities. So for paddling and kayaking, downtown Albany is a surprisingly great area to do that. The Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, that's a little bit of a drive. It's about an hour and a half, but for any baseball fanatics, it offers a ton of history on the sport. And it is worth the drive for any baseball fan. I can definitely say that. Saratoga Battlefield. You can check out Saratoga Battlefield for free, or they do offer paid 3-hour tours. Again, any history buff or nature enthusiast will love Saratoga Battlefield. Next slide. Food and drink scene. Love Troy food and drink scene. We have everything here from Italian to Korean food. We have a couple local breweries that you can check out. Brown's, pictured here, is one of the better breweries in Troy. It has an overlook of the river, and when the sun's coming down, there really is no better place to be in Troy at that time of night. Next slide. Seasonal events. So Troy Night Out is sponsored by the Cultural and Arts Center in Troy that I mentioned earlier. It happens the last Friday of every month, and there are drinks, food vendors, and a whole bunch of art and culture to check out. As mentioned earlier, being founded in 1777, we are big on architecture, especially 19th century architecture. And there are historic signs posted on many buildings. So if you're into architecture history, you can check that out. Chowderfest happens once a year, and it is a lot of fun. It draws a very big crowd. You can get 4-ounce samples for $2 each and try all the best chowder from local restaurants in the area. And then finally, River Street Festival. Now, this is one thing. Celebrate live music, food, more arts and culture. That's what Troy is about. It's just all about the arts and culture. Next slide. Weekend getaways. So Lake George is about an hour away. It is beautiful, especially if you just want to grab a group of friends or a couple buddies, make the drive out there. They have stores, shops. You can rent kayaks, boats for the day. You can go camping out there. Great ice cream in Lake George. The Catskills is a less bigger mountain than the Adirondacks, but there are a bunch of hiking trails out there and gorgeous scenes. The Hudson, New York, great farm to table restaurants, great scenery. Again, more trails. Next slide. Day trips. As Jaron mentioned earlier, our location, RPI's location, is beautiful. We're about 2.5 hours from the city, 3 hours west of Boston, and about 3.5 hours south of Montreal. So really, you can get anywhere in a day trip. I know a lot of my colleagues and students here take the Amtrak down to the city for the weekend, and you can buy an Amtrak ticket for about $100 round trip. Which you would pay for parking anyway down there. So it's a great way to get down to the city. Transportation options, as it mentions, our RPI students do ride the Albany City Bus for free. But in addition to the city bus, they also get the bikes, the city bikes for free. All they have to do is use their student ID card and they can get anywhere they want around Albany. Yep, next slide. Campus life. So as far as campus athletics, we are known for our Division I men and women's hockey teams. However, on top of that, we do have 24 other NCAA Division III athletic teams. So if competition, sports, and just getting out into that type of community is the students thing, there's always going to be a game going on that they can catch around campus. We have over 200 student-run organizations. We do want the students to be involved in the community to build that experience, and over 200 student-run club activities will definitely incorporate that. GM Week at RPI is a lot of fun. It's Grand Marshals Week. Campus really comes alive. We have picnics, concerts. There was a mechanical bull last year. They had a casino night last year with axe throwing. And then Thursday, they vote for the campus president, student body president. And Friday, the nominations come out or the winner is announced. So that week's a really fun time to be around RPI. Next slide. Again, just a little bit more about what we do offer our students because we want them to be involved. 200 student-run clubs, professional and academic societies, and the Mueller Fitness Club is a great place to stay physically active, especially in the winter times here. Next slide. A little bit more of support that you guys can read and check out. As far as housing, we don't offer housing for our graduate students. However, we do have a connection, a resource that will help them find appropriate housing. Majority of the time, they do live off campus. But the way Troy is located, everything is within walking distance. And if it's not, again, their student ID gets them on the city bus. So transporting to campus should never be an issue. Next slide. And finally, yep, you guys can check this out. Final slide for the student support. Everything that RPI will offer the student before they get to campus and after. We pride ourselves on being available for the students, making face with the students to make sure that they reach their potential.
Thank you so much, Aidan. Really appreciate you going through that information. I have to admit, Troy and RPI sounds like such a fantastic place to not only get a really top-notch education, but really get a fantastic experience in the United States. The ability to travel and see so many fantastic cities, but also enjoy such a rich culture locally as well. So thank you for sharing that with us. And before I move on to the next section, I just want to remind you of our Q&A function. We have really the experts of the institution, so whether it's programs or information about your admissions requirements, please make sure to share your questions in the Q&A. After we wrap up the next section of this webinar, we will be going through all of your questions and getting them answered by our fantastic experts. That now brings me on to welcoming back our fantastic guest, Dr. Julius. Dr. Julius, I know you're going to go through some very exciting information on employability and what students can expect once they graduate, and also what is available for students throughout their time at RPI. So I will hand over to you now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. Yeah, so I will take some time to tell you about the employability of our students, but maybe I'll take it a little bit broader than that. So let's start with that. Next slide, please. So this is just a snapshot of companies that recruit our students, companies and institutions that recruit our students. I think you recognize, the names there. Our Center for Center for Career and Professional Development, CCPD, on campus works with students on preparing their resumes, getting them connected to companies, and so on. That center also compiles more comprehensive statistics on the employability of our students. So I don't want to show you a slide full with tables and numbers, but if you are interested, I will be more than happy to share you documents or a link to that kind of information, after this webinar. So the key takeaway is that our students generally enjoy, really high employability and are sought after by, top employers in their field. Next slide, please. Now, obviously, we have a lot of alumni, and I can spend an hour talking about, recent students who are, successful and happy in their career and so on. But I guess instead, I want to discuss, or I want to talk about what we have on the slides here. So Jaron mentioned earlier that RPI is the oldest technical university in North America. And I think that is one of the unique aspects about us. Yes, you have some other schools that have, graduates, who are successful in their career and so on. But truly, sorry, can you go back? Yeah, truly, I want to express to you that RPI, despite its relatively small size and maybe, not that many people have heard about the university, our alumni have actually played major role in, I dare to say, the society that we live in today, right? The technology through which we are communicating right now. So computer microprocessor was invented by our alum. Email was invented by our alum. Digital camera, so the person is not on the list, but digital camera, which is what we are using now, which is in everybody's pocket today, was invented by one of our alum in the 1970s. So my point is that yes, we have a lot of recent younger alums who are successful everywhere, but I want to emphasize that we are a school with a really deep and strong legacy in really high quality contribution for our alum and those who are literally shaping the world and the society that we are living in today. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is a slide, the summary of some programs that help our students develop and advance their career. CCPD is what I mentioned earlier, Center for Career and Professional Development. They offer those services that you see on the slide, but they also compile the statistics that I mentioned earlier. And again, I'm more than happy to share the statistics so you have solid, concrete numbers when we talk about employability. I don't want to have a slide full of tables and numbers, but you can have the information in your hand after this webinar. They help students with internships. Sorry, can you go back up? They help students with internship and co-ops. And as mentioned there are on-campus recruiting and career fairs events organized multiple times a year. So companies would come here and recruit our students. In addition to that, we may have students who are interested in pursuing further education or higher degrees. We also have the Office of Graduate Education that helps students with applications for fellowships, for example. And I can speak to that because I'm one of the beneficiaries of this program. I have a graduate student who recently won a prestigious fellowship from Link Foundation. It's really selective, maybe 4 or 5 for the whole country, through the help of the Office of Graduate Education. So that is really useful service. And then we work a lot with international students. So we have an office on campus that truly understands the ins and outs of the academic aspects of immigrations and can guide students on issues such as CVT and OPTs and so on that you see on the screen. Next slide, please. Now, research is a very strong part of the education experience at RPI, even in at the undergraduate level, but definitely at the graduate level. So again, research at RPI is something that I could spend an hour talking about, but this slide is just a snippet of what is unique. So the the first 2 bullets show you top-notch excuse me, top-notch computing facilities that we have on campus. We have supercomputers that rank among the top supercomputer facilities in the world. On top of that, New York State recently made a huge investment, about $500 million, in compute infrastructure for a consortium of universities in New York State, and RPI is one of them. We have strong collaboration with IBM, and through IBM, we've been constantly upgrading our computing infrastructure. We are the first university in the world to host an IBM quantum computer, Quantum System 1 computer. And this is a really unique facilities because, again, this is the first, but also because this is so accessible to our students. So all students, you don't have to pay extra or join a project or anything. All students can take a course or join a club, and they can get access to the quantum computer without any additional charge. We have facilities for other engineering research, nuclear reactor. We have a biotech center, material research center, robotics lab, and so on. So many of them. We are well funded in research. We have a lot of research centers that are funded by state and federal government. What you see there on the screen is just one of them, one of the most recent ones. In the last month, it was announced that we are participating in a National Science Foundation Engineering Research Center, which is one of the major research sponsorship program by the National Science Foundation. This one is on sustainable rubber production, so we have faculty members from chemical engineering participating in that research. But again, as I mentioned, this is just one of them, and we have a list of other government-sponsored research centers in various areas where our students participate or benefit from our research activities there. And I think this is my last slide, is it?
Yes, I believe so. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Dr. Julius. It's really fascinating to see where RPI's students have gone and the impact that they've had so globally within the multiple industries and disciplines. So thank you for sharing that. I know there's so many fascinating projects that RPI has been a part of. One of the ones I heard was RPI, I think, was one of the creators of sun cream. And it's unbelievable to see such fascinating projects. And what I'd like to do is actually take a look at our Q&A. I see a lot of questions coming in, and I do see that you had a chance to answer some of those questions personally. So I'd like to thank you for that. And perhaps all of our panel, if you would like to open up your cameras. And what I'll do is I'll go through the questions and just see if there's any ones that are particularly pertinent or really meaningful. One of the ones that I did want to put to the panel, and this is really targeting specifically our partners in India. Now, within India, a polytechnic institution has a very different connotation. So perhaps, I don't know if anyone would like to give an overview of what the US, what a polytechnic means in the USA specifically.
Yeah, I can speak to that. This is an, thank you, James, for bringing up this topic. And I come from Indonesia, and this is the same thing. So the word polytechnic usually means vocational education or vocational, higher education, but more towards vocational topics. So it is not so in the U.S. and RPI is basically a university. As you could think of other universities, we are an R1 research university, which means that we are ranked among the highly research active universities. We offer graduate degrees, both at master's and doctoral levels. Our students and faculty do research, we publish, and so on. So, we are a university in our own right. Now, why the name Polytechnic Institute? So there is a history behind the name. As mentioned earlier by Jaron, we are a really old university. We are 201 years old, the oldest in the country in the technological sector. We are situated right off the shore of Hudson River. So when you go back 200 years ago, New York State had the boom in industry, and so our founding father, Stephen van Rensselaer, had this idea of setting up a higher education institution to train engineers to support the booming industry sector in the area at that time. And I think that is the origin of the name Polytechnic University, because he believed in, training engineers that are masters of various aspects of engineering and technology to help propel the industry of those days. And if you look at the history book, our alum indeed played major role in propelling the industry in the country, but certainly in this region, back then, and currently still doing so.
Thank you so much. And yes, like you said, it's great to kind of keep our partners informed. I did see one question, and I did like your answer, so I'm going to ask you it, Dr. Julius, just so we can say it to the group. One of the questions was, what makes RPI really unique in comparison to maybe other institutions that offer similar engineering courses?
Yeah, so I think let me see. I typed that in. Yeah, I mentioned a few things. I answered this question in the window. So obviously there are a lot of engineering graduate programs in the world, in the country. The question was about hands-on experience and real-world applications. So if we think about graduate courses or any advanced courses at RPI, they typically would contain elements of class projects where students would apply what they learn in class on that project. In some areas that I'm familiar with, for example, manufacturing, there are additional programs that students can participate without additional costs and so on. For example, in the manufacturing, where students will get a certificate after they get immersed in various aspects of advanced manufacturing. In semiconductor technologies, again, the booming sector that I mentioned earlier, we have a clean room. So our students actually go to a clean room and they build, microelectronic devices. They build nano. We have a program called Beyond. So build your own nano devices, where students go into the clean room and build their nano devices. So we have unique opportunities like that. And, of course, there are other research centers and so on that facilitate that. Generally speaking, we have advanced research facilities that are unique. As I mentioned earlier, our compute facilities are unique and top-notch. We are, the first university to have a quantum computer, dedicated to our students and faculty. And, that speaks to, again, the uniqueness of experience that students can have at RPI.
Thank you so much for sharing that information. I'll ask a question to Jaron and Aidan. I'm not sure who would best who would prefer to answer this, but it's a little bit more about helping students with their time and their academic journey on campus. Perhaps you can give a bit of an overview again. I know we did go through it one slide, but perhaps you can give an overview of how you support students, what is available to international students. Obviously, thinking about someone that's perhaps only lived in their home country, they're traveling to the US for the first time, homesickness can be an issue, the cultural differences can be an issue. It could be anything from that aspect to just generally settling into the university.
Sure. So the formal way that we do that, we have a office on campus called the International Services for Students and Scholars. And it's ISSS for short. And the staff in the ISSS office are excellent. And you can imagine that they've been very, very busy lately with the pause in visa interviews and all of the things that are going on in the US State Department. But they've been reaching out to incoming international students. They're really on top of this. They've been weekly reaching out to them, just telling them what the updates are. And for current students who are already on campus, they're an excellent resource for those students as well. But there's also a lot of informal ways that we support international students. And one is that we have a lot of various clubs on campus for international students. For example, there's a club for Indian students, there's a club for Chinese students, there's a club for Nigerian students. And many of our faculty too are international. They're from other countries. So we have many, Agung mentioned he's from Indonesia. We have faculty here from Iran. We have faculty here from China and India. So in fact, the dean of the School of Engineering is from India. So we have many different formal and informal ways that we support international students. And we also have, the institute-wide, about 40% of our students are international. So a lot of them support each other. So there's plenty of support out there for both the international and domestic student population.
Fantastic. I think RPI really is a unique proposition to our partners. I think it's a really excellent product that they're going to be able to offer to really fantastic students and really make sure that we can bring the best and the brightest to somewhere that's really a hidden gem. A lot of the market, a lot of the people that we work with perhaps haven't heard of RPI, so that gives us a great opportunity to bring something very unique to our students. With regards to the next steps post graduation, I know we kind of discussed on employability. Perhaps you can give an overview. So the question is, does RPI help students find employers who are familiar with the H-1B visa process or who are open to sponsoring? I guess we could talk a little bit about OPT, CPT opportunities. I know it's graduate, so CPT can be difficult with how intense maybe programs are, but I'm sure RPI as an institution helps with the OPT process through that department that you just mentioned. And also, I'm sure a lot of the companies that are employing your students are already familiar, given the number of international students, with the H-1B visa process. But perhaps you can talk to that a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. The ISSS office does help students with their OPT and CPT applications and issues. But this office is, I believe Agung mentioned this office earlier, the CCPD, the Center for Careers and Professional Development. They do a lot of work with students, getting them, international students and domestic students, getting them employed here in the US. So that's an excellent resource that we have for all of our students.
Fantastic. And just to confirm, I don't think we necessarily mentioned it, but what is the duration of a master's program at RPI?
I mean, I can, oh, go ahead, Agun.
Yeah, I was going to say, the total credits required is 30 credits. So, students in general, in general, they could complete the program in 1 year. That said, students, many students do not complete in 1 year. For example, there are cases where the students would take the courses for 2 semesters, they haven't finished yet, but then in the summer, so that's after 2 semesters, maybe they have an internship somewhere, and then they would return for the next fall semester to complete their degree. But in principle, again, it can be completed in 2 semesters, so in 1 year. I think I've shown some slides with templates where you could see that you could arrange the courses and complete them in 2 semesters.
And I think one thing I just want to mention is, maybe we haven't necessarily said it throughout the presentation, but all of the courses at RPI are STEM designated. So for students who complete their program in 1 year, they will be able to go on to the OPT because they've done 1 academic year in the United States, and also would obviously be able to go on to the STEM OPT. So they'll get that extension as well. So it is really, for a lot of students who I think want to study an excellent program, go in and take advantage of that OPT, be able to complete in 1 year is a really strong opportunity for them. Looking at other questions, so I think we kind of already spoke about a bit to do with the diversity generally, but I don't know, Dr. Julius or Jaron, whether you want to speak a little bit about the diversity in the classroom, specifically to the School of Engineering.
So maybe I can talk about that a bit. So in School of Engineering, our graduate students are actually majority international students. Now, where do they come from? We have a lot of students, and this is by no means a ranking of the size of the percentage. I'm just mentioning countries' names off the top of my head. But we obviously would have China, we have India, we have South Korea, We have a lot of students from Bangladesh and Pakistan. We have some students from Nigeria. We have some students from South America. I think Brazil. We have a few. I have a Brazilian student in my lab actually. Um, um, am I missing anything, Jaron?
No, I don't think so. You've covered the big ones.
Oh, Turkey. We have a lot of students from Turkey. Um, that for sure. We um, have actually quite a number of students from Iran, although you know it could be, looking forward. Well, we'll be happy to take and we are still admitting students from Iran, although it seems that for them to come to the US may be a challenge as of today. We're hoping that it could get better.
Yeah, I completely agree. Obviously, it's great to hear of such a diverse classroom at RPI. Myself, our teams locally are always there to support any students that are having challenges. We'll always, make sure that we can, guide them as best as we can. Obviously, there's a lot of moving parts at the moment, but from our side, we're always supporting our partners and any students. I did see a question with regards to a 3-year degree specifically from South Asia. My understanding is RPI is able to accept 3-year degrees, provided that they're equivalent to a degree that would be from the USA. We do obviously a number of checks. That's via evaluation partners and also RPI directly. Jaron, I don't know if there's anything you would want to add to that.
Sure. As long as the 3-year degree is equivalent to the 4-year U.S. bachelor's degree, that's fine with us. We actually have people in my office who check those degrees. If there's any question in our mind whether or not it's equivalent, then we'll require a formal evaluation. But other than that, we don't normally require evaluations.
Fantastic. One question on academic requirements still with regards to the percentage requirements, Jaron. I don't know if you're too familiar. Obviously, I think generally, if we're looking at a 3.0, we'll probably be looking at a 80% or a first degree. Would that be fair to say?
Generally, yes. So we also have someone in my office who does the conversion of an international GPA to the 4-point US system. And she actually, her background is in international education, so she's really good at that. And but generally what you said is correct. Yes.
Fantastic. And looking at, we have 2 final questions before we move on. I will go ahead and answer one of these questions. So with regards to F2 dependence cases, what we have seen in the past is generally a student applying with an F2 dependent is very likely to receive a visa refusal. What we have suggested, and obviously we are not immigration lawyers, but one of the things that we suggest students look at is potentially arriving in the US, starting their program, and then looking at having their dependent join them once they've already established themselves, because we have seen better success when students have done it that way around, as opposed to applying with their dependent at the initial stages. I'll put this question to all of our panelists. So we can have a look at maybe academically and also from an admission standpoint, what are the common misconceptions or mistakes maybe your recruitment partners or even students have made when looking at RPI?
So I think one misconception, James, that's the first thing that you brought up today, and I'm really grateful that you did. The name Polytechnic, in some countries, may mean something that we are not. I cannot think of others. Jaron, do you have
Well,
anything?
the one misconception that I can think of that actually benefits the School of Engineering is that that many people think that the only thing we do at RPI is engineering, but when we have 4 other schools.
That's true.
So I
Yeah.
think that's one misconception that I'm aware of. But yeah, I other than that, I really can't think of any. I mean, yeah.
James, I think there is one important question that was asked and I answered, but maybe I want to mention it again for the benefit of everybody and maybe also for Inuni. The question is about whether we do distance education. So all the programs that I presented was on-campus residential programs. Now, we do have distance education also at the master's level, not through the school engineering, but through a different organization on campus, also part of RPI. So if any of the agents are interested in that, maybe they could reach out to Inuni, and I'll be happy to connect you with the associate dean of our Rensselaer at Work school that handles those programs, the distance program.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that support. Yes, please feel free to reach out to myself and the team. Anytime that you have these questions, we have our local representatives that I'm sure have been in touch with you. I think I will be able to answer one of these questions, which is with regards to students that have studied a distance learning undergraduate degree, applying for a master's. Now, Jaron, my assumption is, again, so long as the program is seen equivalent to a undergraduate program in the US when the evaluation is done, that would be fine, but feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you are correct. We don't have many students who have studied from distance programs, but we do have some. So it's what you said is correct.
Excellent. Well, I think that is all the questions. We've had some really fantastic questions from our participants today. So thank you so much for joining. What I would like to say is a huge thank you to all of our panelists. Thank you to everyone that joined this session today. I would like to thank all the team in the background that make sure we get our invitations out, get you to join, and make sure all the IT works well. Dr. Julius, before we wrap up, I don't know if there's anything you would like to say to the group.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody, James, and all the team members from Inuni for making this possible. I want to thank all the participants of this webinar. I think we can form great partnership in making RPI master's programs accessible to your clients, and I'm excited to work with you.
Thank you so much for your time. Jaron, any closing remarks from your side that you would like to share?
I'll just echo what Ogun said. Thank you to everyone, and it's really been a pleasure talking with all of you. And we're looking forward to our continued partnership. This is the first year that we've been working with the agents to help us get some more international students, and I think that the experience with the Inuni has been an excellent one. So it's a great organization, and thank you for partnering with us.
Thank you so much for your time. And once again, thank you to everyone that joined this session and our fantastic panelists. It was great to have you here today, and we will wrap up now. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.